This is Chet Holmgren, and I'm down to dunk.
This is AJ Mitchell, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Alex Crusoe, and I'm down to dunk.
It's like baby bottle pop. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is Adam Flagler, and I'm down to dunk.
Hey, it's Isaiah Hartenstein, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Cason Wallace, and I'm down to dunk.
I can't spell Lucas. Hey, how do you spell Lucas? How do you spell Lucas?
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
This is Nikola Topic, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Dylan Jones, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Isaiah Joe, and I'm down to dunk.
And there's probably like 50 to 75 Beanie Babies.
Give me like your top 3 Pokemon.
Bro, I can't even name.
This is Jay Will, and I'm down to dunk.
Sometimes the way his brain works is it leaves a lot to be desired.
This is Kenrich Williams, and I'm down to dunk.
Charmander.
Charmander.
Or are you more of a Charmeleon guy?
Charmeleon.
This is Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and I'm down to dunk.
Schlecht. You know what it means? Yeah.
That means like bad.
It means bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
Well, it was a good interview, so it wasn't bad.
J-Dub, year 3, and I'm down to dunk for the 3rd time. Thank you.
Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me, as always, on Mondays, is my good friend, Michele Berra. Michele, what's up?
I will start calling you Schlecht, like Hartenstein is. Yeah, he pronounced it with soft CHT, which is German E. Yeah, I like that.
Schlecht, which means bad. You know what's not bad is the Oklahoma City Thunder, who beat the Timberwolves last night 130 to 123 in Minnesota. They play in just a matter of hours the same game, which is, it's unfortunate. It's kind of a crazy schedule, but it's totally fair that it's both teams that have to travel. It's both teams that have to play. And so you get to see both teams under similar conditions. Although the Timberwolves were missing several guys last night, one could argue actually a couple of them, if they're missing, it might be better for this team. But they're also going to be missing Jalen Clark, who is suddenly like one of their best 6 players. 7 players on the team. He can really defend. He was making everything last night. He was 6 of 7 from the field and deserves a ton of credit for what he was doing. I don't know if he's out or not. I need to check the injury report because he left the game with what might be a concussion.
Yeah.
So hopefully he's all right. Yeah, nothing's submitted yet. So we'll keep checking throughout the pod. I think they should be submitting maybe around halfway through this show. And so hopefully we'll see what's going on with the injury report there. But back in OKC, same thing tonight.
Yeah, if he entered the concussion protocol, then there's no way he plays tonight.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter if it was like a neck pain or whatever, then we'll see. Anyhow, I mean, they are short in terms of rotation guys. I mean, DiVincenzo is probably a guy that would play against OKC, and if he's on one of his nights, then he can also do damage.
For sure.
Real question is, do you think Mini is better without Randall if they're playing OKC? And probably the answer is yes. And also,
absolutely yes. Absolutely, yes.
It's clear to me that without Gobert, for Hartenstein, Naz Reid is not the best pairing.
Yeah,
it's just not. He has to be attached to him, which is something that he doesn't like to do because Naz is really a guy that will stretch you off. If you go up to the 3-point line, he will take a step and go back. So he has really unlimited range. I'm not sure who in the world would say that Minnesota should have traded him a couple of years ago. Not sure. It was me.
Who would say something like that? Who would say something like that? I mean, in general, I think they're going to be better with less bigs. Yeah. On their squad. I just think that they traded the wrong one overall. That needs shooting around in Edwards, and that's why this lineup is working. Like if you look up and down, I think the starting lineup took 41 threes on their own last night. The Thunder as a team took 35. Yeah, they took 45 3-point shots last night. they took a ton of threes. They took a ton of threes, and that helps a lot with the spacing for Ant, getting him to the hoop. But the Thunder survived this one. They were up big at the beginning of this game. They were playing just so well. Taylor called me, and we were just talking about like how crazy this game is. It was after a timeout. They're up 19. It looked like they were just going to coast to this win, and then all of a sudden, in the second quarter, the Wolves go on this crazy 22-2 run, which just almost feels impossible for teams to go on against this Thunder team. It just felt really strange to see the Thunder just completely kind of befuddled on both ends. And and you just kind of thought, okay, it's actually in like my sick, weird basketball head. This is what I thought. This is really good. Like, this is really good for them. Like, to be tested mentally like this.
Yeah.
To go up, to completely lose the lead in a game that you should have probably coasted to.
Yeah.
And then to have to fight back. Multiple times they had to fight back. I thought, okay, this is actually a great thing for this team to be tested in this way. And it ended up working out for them. Like, they hit a ton of shots down the stretch. A lot of it was due to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and his phenomenal, obviously, shot making is something that he's just completely
free throw merchant.
Dude, we talked about this like on the Fry Pod 2 weeks ago. Same crowd chanting the same thing. You know what? I kind of respect it because they're trying to get into his head.
Which is clearly not working.
It's creative, and it kind of. I just think it's all so overplayed, though, and I think it's it's definitely unfair to Shai, who is not a free throw merchant. But also, you know what? If I'm him, take it as a compliment, because literally every elite guard in the history of the game has been a guy that took between 9, 10, 11 free throws per game. Like, that's part of it. You know who else does that? Anthony Edwards took 10 free throws last night.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about?
It's so silly. And it making it sound like a bad thing is the thing that cracks me up. Like, everybody would want a player that takes and makes so many free throws. That is one of the most efficient part of the basketball game. Like, I mean, Shai is over 80%. That is 1.6 point per free throw trip, basically. That is the real efficiency. I mean, if you don't want that, then just be a little bit less physical with Shai. And you know what happens? He takes maybe 4 free throws, but he scores 37 points anyway. Because, I mean, especially last night, I mean, sometimes you can see some marginal contacts. And that happens. This is part of the art of getting into the line. You need to create contact. You need to really be able to get into the teeth of the defense, having core strength, because you don't want to get basically pushed off your trajectory. Otherwise, you will not get free throws. So it's really tough. But last night, Mini was really hard. And that's, to me, great. Perfectly fine. This is exactly the kind of defense that you should play. Mini was awesome defensively. Just awesome. They just happened to miss to just I mean, they lost Wiggins too many times. That is something that you should not do. But anyhow, in general, they play good defense. So, hey, this is what every star should do. Try to get contact. Don't protest if you're hammered down, which happened 3 times last night. Just play the game, and Shai accept contacts. He's not the guy who protests when he's hit heavy. He doesn't protest when he doesn't get the first call. If it's the entire night that is not getting calls, he may argue a little bit in a polite way. I mean, if he's a free throw merchant, then I would love to be a free throw merchant myself. So it's just great.
Yeah, I mean, the other stars that have been in Oklahoma City, and KD, tons of free throws. Russell Westbrook,
and that was even like, it it was not
That
even.
was more of like a free throw merchant thing. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
If that was being chanted at him as he's doing the rip through move, as guys just don't know how to defend him, and they literally wrote a rule to get that out of the game because it just became not basketball. There's nothing Shea is doing that's not basketball.
No, he's just getting into your body space and just try to score over you, which great basketball moves. That's it.
So the fourth quarter was super impressive. Shea in 8 total minutes, 8 minutes exactly, according to NBA.com. He had 6 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, only 1 turnover. The turnovers last night, by the way, before we get to all the very good things about Shea, a couple of the most mind-boggling turnovers I've ever seen from this team. Like, it looked like I was watching the Hornets or something, where he's just trying to pass it to the wing and it just goes out of bounds. Like, that was just weird. Like, I chalk that up to just nothing. I don't know. It was weird. But I just had to mention it just because it just felt so strange watching the game and just seeing him pass the ball out of bounds. Like 1 to J-Dub. I can't remember who the second one was.
2 to J-Dub, I think.
I think it was just very odd.
1 to Wiggs, which was weird.
Yeah, he was just the turnovers for the Thunder last night were a little uncharacteristic in general, but to get 5 from Shea just felt strange. That's got to be like close to his season high, right? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Now I'm sucked in. Now I'm just lost.
Let me bet.
Tangent.
I think that he had 1 game where he commit more. But just
okay,
1.
yeah, he had 3 actually.
Oh,
he had 6 against Charlotte in a giant win. He had 6 against Sacramento in a massive win too. So like games that just didn't really matter. And then I forgot about this. I kind of remember it now. He had 8 against the Nuggets in a 2-point loss.
Yeah,
to Denver.
Yeah,
but this guy he doesn't turn the ball over. As a guy who has it all the time and is becoming like a much better playmaker too, which like secretly is something that's been happening and really is part of the story of this fourth quarter. And I have his 4 assists queued up here for everybody to watch together. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're not watching on YouTube, you should watch on YouTube. Make sure that you subscribe. So let's take a look at these 4 assists from Shea in the fourth quarter.
Out to Wallace. Wallace double team. Shot clock winding down. Caruso a 3. Got it. Alex Caruso with his first 3-pointer of the game. Edwards back in. Still plenty of time left. Caruso is going to try again. Caruso hits again. Hit 5 of 7 from 3-point range here in this fourth quarter. Jalen Williams tries another one. Jalen Williams hits another one. Forcing turnovers, that's what OKC does better than anyone in the NBA. Jalen Williams, 3-pointer. Bang! Jalen Williams from downtown.
What's really cool about all of these passes is that he just kind of slowly lulls the defense into this double team and then immediately just bloop out to his teammate Caruso, to J-Dub, whoever it is. And he's just finding guys. It's just, it's not anything crazy. Like Russ used to do it with sheer force. And he was just this rocket ship that was going to the rim, and there was nothing that you could do about it. You could throw as many bodies as you wanted to, and he was going to the rim, and then he would just fire these bullets out to the perimeter. Shea is like, I'm going to just slowly make sure that you guard me, and then I'm going to just dump it off quickly to my teammate. And like all those were in the fourth quarter, all in big moments. I mean, like watching the score, even like timely buckets. And, Caruso's got to hit those. And he did last night. He kind of struggled at the beginning of the game, but really kind of redeemed himself in those moments, which I thought was massive for the Thunder. But getting J-Dub open there, it wasn't an assist from Shea, but Chet hitting a 3 down the stretch of the game was massive. They were hitting their threes, which totally matters, but it's just cool to see Shea drawing doubles and then finding his teammates. It's just something that we didn't see a ton of last year, especially in the playoffs last year. when the double teams were drawn, the quick decisions weren't always there with him. And I think that we're starting to see a little bit more of that. And it's just good to see it like down the stretch of a tight game. Like, what are you going to do? How are you going to execute? Is this all going to be on you doing ISO ball, which might have worked anyways? Or are you going to get your teammates involved? And he really did a great job of just finding his teammates down the stretch of that one.
Yeah, he was amazing. And I just realized that I commit a huge basketball crime. I'm not sure you can forgive me, but I listened to the OKC telecast while Mike Breen was on.
Listen, here's the deal. Mike Breen called Shea Alexander Walker after he hit a shot. So I think it's justified.
Okay.
So I think you're.
For
I think
some
you're
reason on League Pass, I had just Thunder and Wolves, and I
defaulted that. I actually was bouncing back and forth between the Thunder broadcast and that one.
Yeah, but
so
they should say ESPN. So maybe it was too. I don't know. Not
League Pass defaulted to the Thunder for me too. So I don't know.
Yeah. Anyhow, basketball crime. Yeah. I mean, we are. I mean, we should be excited about Shea, about the thing that Shea is doing.
Yeah.
Because I mean, last year we're saying, maybe as a slogan more so than something that or like a catchphrase more so than something that we really believed. Yeah, he improves every summer. And he's actually doing it again. I mean, he's better in basically everything he was doing last year. And the passing, I mean, the passing is something that can unlock so much. Even if he's not doing this amazing two-handed cross-court pass that Luka is doing or stuff like that, he's extremely simple and effective, which I really like. And I mean, Shea had 8 assists. J-Dub somehow had 9, which is another part of. I mean, he was part of the 20-2 run, but so was Shea. I mean, he came back, I think, when they were up 15 or 12, and they just hit a 3. Anyhow, so it was just the entire team that slowed down. J-Dub last night, he was spectacular. The quick trigger from 3. The passing, the defense. I mean, when he was paired with Naz could not get his shot off, which is something that it's extremely important that you cannot track, but it's something that is there. If you see when and where Naz Reid took his shots, it's rarely on J-Dub. So, I mean, these two guys and Chet, who looked like himself, early on in this game. It's like so many good news for OKC.
Yeah. And I mean, how they closed the game and how they kind of opened the game up in the fourth quarter was going small with J-Dub at the 5.
Yeah.
And like throwing that just insanely switchy, what are you going to do on either end lineup, where yes, what you could do is just be bigger and stronger than this lineup. Absolutely. You could do that. But if you don't do that and you don't take advantage of the lack of size, this team is going to destroy you. And it was fun to watch. It was Shea, Dort, Cason Wallace, Alex Caruso, J-Dub. And it's just like, honestly, like 3 of the best point of attack defenders in the NBA. And one of the best like off-ball defenders in the NBA in Shea, and then one of the other best like switchy forwards that can guard as many, like really can guard anybody in the NBA in J-Dub. And it's like, what are you supposed to do? And it's cool because like they can also like they start the game with the jumbo lineup. They can go small. They can go with either one. They kind of staggered them throughout the rest of the game, Chet and iHeart, and then went with a small ball lineup, and it was all super effective at times. And so that was really cool to see them go to that, because a lot of times you wonder like, okay, we're finally getting Chet back. We have Art Hartenstein here. They're just going to play big the whole time. What are they going to do? But like, no, like they're going to throw everything out there. And this team knows how to play small. They've done it a lot. And if you can do it in just doses like they did last night, when they're trying to look for something that works, it was super helpful. But you mentioned Chet. It's good to see Chet looking like Chet again. He had 19 points, 4 rebounds, and assists. He had 3 blocks. Like the blocks have just been ridiculous since he's back. Like he's just been unbelievable. But 8 of 11 from the field. I would have liked to see him be more involved in the offense. You know, he had like 10 points in like 5 seconds. It felt like in this game. You know, he started the game hitting a 3. The 3 ball is looking really good, especially last night. He's been pump faking a lot since he's come back, and that's kind of a thing that he does at times. Mm-hmm. But last night, he and J-Dub were just like quick trigger. We're just going to fire these threes just off.
Let it fly.
Both.
Yeah.
3 of 4 for Chet, 3 of 5 for J-Dub. And it's just good to see Chet looking more like Chet. You know, he had some great finishes through the third quarter. And, you know, he had one that really should have been a foul when he drove to the hoop and kind of went up and he got hammered. And he should have gone to the free throw line.
Body and arm
last night. Yeah, that was weird. The officiating.
Not a merchant.
Yeah, like, what was the officiating? I think actually both fan bases came away not happy with the officiating, which I understand. It was not great last night, to be honest. And there was the one play, like I don't understand how Dort, they called that foul on Dort even after looking at it again.
Yeah.
What I don't. There was just a lot, in my opinion, that was wrong with the officiating last night. But anyways, it's just good to see. It's good to see Chet back.
Yeah, it's good. I comment this with John on Thunder After Dark. By the way, it was like months since not months.
I was going to say,
it's a
long time
to John. So it's probably a very difficult game to officiate because both teams at the beginning were extremely physical, and they let it go for a little bit, and then the physicality increased. And I think that they said, oh, we cannot really allow this. I mean, they are beating themselves up. So let's try to whistle something. And so there was a moment when Chad was fouled that it was not called. And it's okay. It was not really an officiating that caused one of the teams to lose the game. There were mistakes. I really think that both teams played extremely hard. Even the strip that Caruso had, it was on. It wasn't on Nickeil Alexander-Walker. It was on. Well, anyhow, he really put the arm down, and it was mostly ball, but not entirely ball. And so it was a very, very physical game, which is okay, but also a little bit tough to get to.
Yeah, I mean it's actually really good for them.
Jaden McDaniels. I don't know why this name slipped to my
okay.
head.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's good for them to play physical guys. And like Naz Reid specifically is like super physical with them. Had some second chance points. Is a guy that defensively was really good last night too. I thought Naz played just a terrific game. I thought Ant was really good too. They hit he and Nickeil hit some of the craziest threes. There was one in the corner from Ant that iHeart was right there. And it was just like, how in the world did he make that? Like there's no way he could have seen the basket where he was. And it's just like all muscle memory, and athleticism. And I mean, they hit some really, really tough threes. There was also one over Shea that Ant hit that just seemed impossible. And then Nickeil did the same thing a couple times. Nickeil, I think he had like 11 points in the first 4 minutes of the fourth quarter. Like he was playing great. You got to give the T-Wolves a lot of credit. Like they're playing without a couple of their guys, but continue to play really good basketball. And I'm excited to watch it again. I'm excited to see it again tonight. Maybe they can get Ant Edwards 2 more techs tonight, and he'll be suspended for his next game. I think he has 14 techs. I got another one last night.
That's a lot.
I think they could have given him another one just because he's clapping in the face of the official. Like
after
the dude is after the tech. I mean, he's kind of one of like the league's hotheads at this point.
Yeah,
that is like getting himself in trouble with technical fouls. He will be suspended He's not going to go the rest of the season without getting 2 techs. And so they are going to be missing him at some point just due to the amount of technical fouls that he has, which is not great for a Timberwolves team that is 31-27 currently. And have you seen their home record? They're 16-14 at home.
Oh,
which is just tough.
Not great.
That's really tough.
Yeah.
But anyways, I did have a couple other videos I want to show. We were talking about Shea. This 3 from Shea is like one of the most confident, like I am in the zone, I believe that I'm the best player in the NBA kind of shot that I've ever seen. And from a guy who's good in transition, good at finishing around the basket.
No. Oh, wow. Kind of 3.
Yeah. You if you watch the game, you probably already know the shot that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But here it comes.
McDaniel spins in traffic. Wallace right there. SGA pulls up 3-pointer. Gets good.
Watch it one more time. He is basically ahead of the defense.
Yeah.
But stops because he would rather have 3 than 2. Just watch it one more time.
McDaniel spins in traffic. Wallace right there. SGA pulls up 3-pointer. Gets good.
What are the chances? Yeah, what are the chances that if Ant is not one of the 2 defenders, it just goes? But if he's there, I'm gonna demolish him right now, showing him that.
It was incredible. Like that was such a fun play. And that's something that I think is actually like his pull-up 3, like the quick trigger 3, is becoming really important, like to his game. And I think will be specifically important for the Thunder because he's been shooting it a lot better. I mean, I'm going to look up the stats since January 1st for him from 3, because I do think that it's really important for Shea to hit the 3 because it keeps the defense honest. Because a lot of times you can just and like the Mavericks, this is the way the Mavericks guarded him, and I think honestly, so much of the changes in his passing and his pull-up 3 and all of that is really due to the fact that the way the Mavericks defended him, I think he's 37% on 5 attempts per game since January 1st.
Off the top of your head, Shea took 210, let's say, 3-pointers. No, sorry, 324 3-pointers. How many are off the dribble? Set a bar.
299.
It's 265.
265.
That is
that
is a lot. It's
like almost all of them.
It's 70%. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Almost 34% on those. That is different. When he's wide open and he's off the catch, that is 50% almost.
I was going to say it's money. Yeah.
Yeah, it is money. And I mean, it's not an if. He is taking the dribble jumper 3 and he is mastering it. I know that 34% doesn't seem a lot. It's almost like shooting mid-range jumpers at 51 and change %. That is still a good shot if it's what the defense gives you. Now, I don't want to say that 34% is great for a 3-point shooter. That is not what I'm saying. If you just shoot off the catch and you shoot 34, that is a horrible percentage. But if you do it all off the dribble and you keep the defense on it, if they go behind the pick, you just take it, then it changes quite a lot.
Yeah, it's meaningful.
Yeah.
Like it's super meaningful for Shea to take and make threes. And like that's just an example of like those kind of moments will happen in playoff games where Shea is pulling up out of nowhere for a 3 like that, and it's going to change a game. And we've seen that. One other thing that I wanted to highlight from last night's game is Isaiah Hartenstein and Alex Caruso and these guys are obviously super effective on the defensive end and have helped a ton on the defensive end. But offensively, with these guys on the court, it has changed things for them because they really don't have stationary guys that are hurting the offense anymore. And like, I hate to disparage any like Josh Giddey at all because like he did some nice things in Oklahoma City, but the fact that he was kind of this like stationary, you don't have to guard him kind of guy, wasn't really good off cuts, wasn't really like finding his spots in the offense. It became really detrimental to the Thunder and to the, they had to actually sit him in the playoffs and, bring him off the bench. But like Caruso and Hartenstein, like you just see the vision in games like this with those guys. Like they move off ball well. Hartenstein's passing, which I'm going to highlight here in a second, has been tremendous. And I think is like one of the reasons why I feel better about the Thunder against any sort of zone defense, just because you can get the ball to the middle of the floor and he is just a tremendous passer. Yeah. And so I just think like you can see the vision of like adding those two guys, and you can see it even better when they have the full complement of players there, because the responsibility isn't as heavy for Hartenstein. The responsibility isn't as heavy for Caruso when you have the Thunder's big three in place. And they all played well last night. They all scored well. And you had everybody else where they should be. Even Aaron Wiggins like played such a great role for this team. Like all he had to do was defend and take and make open shots. And he did that to a large degree. But I did want to show some of iHeart's passing from last night, because like some of it was like highlight stuff with the alley-oop to Chet, and some of it was just like simple, like ball in the middle of the floor, you know, offense just churning, and he's finding guys. So here's iHeart.
Holmgren, for a guy his size, the skill level is phenomenal. He likes, I'm sure, playing here. He's from Minneapolis. Was a great high school player. Holmgren lays it up and in and 1 for 12 from 3, and Alexander Walker able to knock that down. Hartenstein kicks it out. Isaiah Joe looks to get it back and does. Hartenstein, the rebound, finds Williams, cuts, layup's good. Hartenstein, alley-oop to Holmgren. And a technical foul called on Edwards. And that's Julius Randle out, Rudy Gobert out, Dante DiVincenzo out. Hartenstein sneaks it into Caruso, who has to give it right back. Beautiful pass, Dort with the slam.
I particularly love the last one because it's like,
I know you would.
He gets it twice, like he's like the hub of the offense twice, where he gets it to Caruso and Caruso didn't quite get the look that they wanted, gets it back to iHeart, and then he finds Dort cutting to the hoop, who dunks it. And it is so helpful to have a big like that you can just go to in moments where your offense just needs something. Everything, and I think I've been saying this throughout the year, but like last night, there were just times where we're like, oh, okay, here it is again. Like everything just feels easy with Isaiah Hartenstein out there as a rebounder, as a passer, as a defender. Like everything just feels so much easier. And when people talk about the Thunder, a lot of times they talk about who they were last year without really mentioning, when they're talking about like what they can do in the playoffs. But it's like, this is a vastly different team from last year's playoffs, in large part to the personnel that's here, and the fact that this team is just a year older. I know they want to talk about how young the team is, but they're a year older than they were last year, and they were a shot and a game away from going to the conference finals. So but they are much, and all the numbers say it. I don't know why people can't get it through their thick skulls that like how good this team is and how like they need to see it to believe it. Well, actually go watch them, because you can see it now. You don't have to wait to see it, because like this team is really good now. And a lot of it is like just these subtle things that are happening with guys like Hartenstein and Caruso that have come in and have made, maybe the stats, like the accounting stats aren't there. They're not big enough for people to notice, but everything else is there. Like you go look at like all these defensive numbers for EPM. Isaiah Hartenstein is like one of the top guys there. Alex Caruso literally is the top guy there. There's so much data that like shows that these guys are just outrageously helpful to the team, and they are different than they were in last year's postseason, in large part to the credit of those two guys.
Yeah, I think that it's fair to question, are the role players replicating what they are doing this season in the postseason? Because last year, coming postseason, no role player basically replicated what they were doing in terms of shooting. So I think it's fair to keep in the back of their minds that, yeah, you still need to do it when it counts. But this team is not. Well, let's say it this way: if they replicate what they are doing now, they are basically winning every single game in the postseason.
I was going to say they're going to go like 16-2 in the playoffs.
Exactly. They will do the same thing that Boston did last year. They will just steamroll guys, and if that is your concern, then yeah, sure. They may not do that because it's hard to go 16-2 or whatever. If you want to say that, I need to really see if they are good in the playoffs, then it can happen that they hit a bad stretch and it happens. Like great teams may lose in the first round, in the second round, in the third round. Do I believe that? Is it probable? No, this team is historically great. They are steamrolling every single team. They are beating teams that they are playing them well. They are beating team as with a lot of guys out or with the entire squad. So they have a lot of data and games backing them up. So yeah, you can think, but you need to also to realize that they are basically reincorporating one guy that probably had him stay healthy. Now he would have been the favorite for Depoy, and that will improve over the next 20 games. So yeah, I hear what a lot of guys say, but also I have in mind, like, tell me a game where they played very well and they lost. Maybe you can point out to the first loss to Cleveland, or the only loss to Cleveland, where they played well.
That's probably the one.
Because even when we said it before, even against Denver, the game that they lost by 2. Yeah, Shea had 8 turnovers.
They didn't play. They did not play well in that game.
Yeah.
They still only lost by 2.
Against Dallas, sure, you can say they lost 2 games. One, it was after a week that they were playing without a big. And the other one, it was weird. Very play well. But a game where you say, okay, here they are, and they lose the game, it doesn't happen too often. They are really outmatched. You can, again, to me, it's just that Cleveland game, and weirdly Milwaukee for some reason, but they just didn't show up basically for that.
They played horrible in that game. Yeah, they played terrible in that game. Yeah, it's a good point. Like that, if they are on top of their game, they are the toughest team in the league. I believe that. I think they're the toughest team to beat. They've been tremendous. Okay, so what do we make of this rotation since like post All-Star break? So last night, starting 5, the Michele Berra starting lineup. They look great. The numbers say that they're good. Wonderful. They played Alex Caruso the most minutes off the bench, 24 minutes, which let's just say a prayer that his body holds up the rest of the season, because this guy is outrageously important. He had 11.7 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, was 3 of 6 from 3. Like, he is outrageously important to this team.
Yeah.
Cason Wallace played 22 minutes off the bench. He had 6 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Really one of the best Alex Caruso understudies that you could ever find. And so I think that he's like on his way to becoming an Alex Caruso level guard in the NBA, and probably is not that far from it, to be honest. Then we had Aaron Wiggins at 19 minutes. Wiggs was just on fire. 4 of 4 from 3, 4 of 6 from the field overall, 15 points. He was great. Then Isaiah Joe only played 11 minutes, was 2 of 4 from 3 for 6 points, a rebound and 2 assists. And then Kenrich played 3 minutes in which he showed off the footwork of Tim Duncan in the post one time. And I don't really know where that came from. That was so fun. And it's like we only saw him for 3 minutes. No Jay Will, no Dylan, no Oos, no Dukas.
Yeah.
Just thoughts about that in general.
I really like the way in which Mark decided, hey, this is a good game. Let's try to play. And I'm not entirely sure that this will be the rotation up until the end of the regular season, meaning in good games, I think that we will see shuffling. Shea and Chet seems to me perfect. Dub and Hartenstein seem to me perfect. I wonder if Caruso is best playing a little bit more with Dub and Hartenstein and maybe having Joe with Shea just to have the spacing that Joe can create. But then, I don't know. This is something that I wonder. I think that a unit with Shea, Kaysen, Joe, Wiggs, and Chet, it's going to be phenomenal. Not really a lot of passing, but great shooting. And then you have a little bit more of a choral way to play with Dub, Caruso, Hartenstein, and a combination of the guys that are there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is what we're going to see come playoff time is rotations that look like this. Now, will they always play Caruso the most minutes and always have Kaysen and Aaron as the next guys? Probably not.
Depends.
But I think these are your guys. I think these are your guys.
In that regard, I truly believe that you have 10 players, then you have Kenrich, and then maybe sometimes he will. Or 9, 10, 11, whatever.
Yeah. I think that this is the 10 that they go with come playoff time. And I think they're all solid. There's not one guy that you're like, man, I really wish that they would just take this guy off the court. There's not one of those guys out there, especially when Dort's role is so interesting to me because he plays 32 minutes in this game last night. He is a threat to shoot. Teams will guard him because he is a threat to shoot, but he takes 4 shots on the night, which is less than everybody but Kenrich, only played 3 minutes, like I said. But he played 32 minutes, and he is just sold out on cutting to the basket on offense and moving around and just being this crazy defender on Anthony Edwards that honestly, when Ant wasn't being guarded by Lou, it just felt like he was free again. It's just interesting to see. And Dort will have games again where he's taking 10, 12 shots a game. And he should, he's a good enough offensive player to do that. But just to have a NBA level starter that has been a guy that has scored a lot of points in his time with the Thunder. The guy he's on the top 5 list for made threes in franchise history. This is not just Andre Robertson out there. This is a guy that can really make shots. And it just goes to show there is a selflessness that exists that permeates throughout this team. And you can see it in the way that Lou plays. Cause I don't think Lou's complaining to anybody today about not getting shots. I think that he is perfectly fine playing this role. And it's just important to have those kind of guys on the team that as they try to figure this out with Chet, that you have a guy in Lou Dort that's okay, I take 4 shots tonight. Then that's just what happens.
Yeah. Disclaimer, I talked with Andrew about this off the record, and he said to me that it was okay for me to repeat. So maybe someone will hate me because this will be taken as a Lou Dort, me hating Lou Dort again. It's not, so bear with me. There are a lot of comments in the chat. Well, at least one comment in the chat that says, "Hey, Lou should be Depoy." Not saying that Lou should not be Depoy, but I was wondering about what kind of stats you could get to support Lou Dort campaign. And I said to Andrew before we started, I don't think that you will find one. Because, I mean, if you look at the deflection stats and the effort stats, Lou is good but not great. If you look at the on-off records, it's rare that Lou Dort is right there with the best of OKC. He's worse than Holmgren. He's
not.
A lot worse than Caruso, and many others. Well, not many, but a good bunch. So why everybody is so sure that Lou Dort is a great defender, and why I think that not always the numbers see that. First and foremost, because Lou Dort is probably the best one-on-one physical defender. What he does on the best guy on the other team, nobody can. No Cason Wallace, not Caruso, not everybody. Does he make mistakes on defense? Yes. I believe that when he's not paired with a Luka Doncic type of player, Kyrie, LeBron, whoever you want, Murray, Lillard, name every player that you like, but a superstar. If he's not like Donovan Mitchell, and then I will stop saying, because otherwise I will give you the end of my but he will overhelp, he will over double when he's not focused. He will go back to his guy even if it's not the thing to do, because he may leave a shooter open. If you look last night, 2-3 times he left a guy to close out, to double team, and which was not in a position to really do damage. So he makes this kind of mistakes, which are, again, his way to, hey, this is my guy, I need to control him. And he creates a little bit of issues. But why I am convinced that Lou Dort is a great defender and there is no stat, it's because the stat that you should take and should consider is shots that you can't take while Lou Dort is guarding you. Numbers of opportunity that Lou Dort makes worse for you or just takes out. This is something that I discussed, I think 10 years ago with Seth Partnow on Twitter, and I think also via whatever, I don't remember. But anyhow, this stat does not exist, but I really would bet that if you chart the games yourself and see the amount of times that when a player reaches a certain area and is guarded by Lou Dort, that possession ends up in a pass or in a low-level, low-quality opportunity, then Lou Dort will be the highest, especially if you take the best of the crop. Like if you take the best 15 players while they are not guarded by Lou Dort and while they are guarded by Lou Dort, then you will see. Then you really will see. And this doesn't reflect on the net rating, or because it's more of a, hey, if you have Lou Dort, then you have a weapon to hold Luka in check while not sacrificing everything to do so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, to me, he is like their loudest, most impactful defender outside of Chet.
Yeah.
I honestly firmly believe that had Chet not gotten hurt, he would win the Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
And like actually might be leading even if Wemby didn't have his blood clot issue. I think that there's a chance that you look at like the defensive rating, you look at the block rate, you look at what teams are shooting at the rim on Chet, which I haven't looked at it since last night. Chet is out, by the way. We did get the injury report from the NBA where Chet is out for rest. Obviously, AJ and Air Bud are out as well for the Thunder. But then we have Jalen Clark is listed as questionable with neck soreness. And then the other three, Dante, Rudy, and Julius, which I think is... Well,
Julius.
I don't know why I read their first names, but I did. Jalen Clark, actually, him being out makes a pretty big difference for them, which just seems insane to say. He's questionable, but that is it feels strange to say that, you know, he makes a big difference, but he did last night. He was really, really good for them and on both ends. Honestly, I don't expect him to keep shooting like that. I think he was going into that game last night. He was shooting like 20% from three.
But it was
For a stretch of time, and so it was it was a strange game for him overall. But anyways, yeah, I do think that talking about Lou, he is just like this. Like he gives outrageous effort. I think that helps this team so much, and I think that he is clearly like a defensive leader for them. He's a guy that I believe is like one of the best point of attack defenders in the league. And I get it. Like a lot of people's opinions are that big men are basically the reason why NBA defenses are good or bad. And like a lot of people will hold to that. And there's a lot of truth behind that. Absolutely. I don't think the Thunder are the defensive team they are without Chet and without Isaiah Hartenstein. I think that those things are true, certainly. But like the Thunder aren't the same defensive team without Lou either.
Yeah.
You know, like that. I don't think that they function the exact same. I think obviously if any team could survive without Lou Dort, it's this Thunder team because they have all the other good point of attack defenders. They're just hoarding all of them on their roster, which is like such a credit to Presti because I don't think like it wasn't really a thing that teams were doing. Like they would have like maybe 1 or 2 great point of attack defenders, and like just call it a day, and just say, okay, well that's probably all that we need. But like Sam was like, no, I'll take Lou Dort, I'll take Caruso. You know, drafting Casey Wallace in the draft and bringing him along, and just having great point of attack defense paired with guys that are not just complete zeros on the offensive end is so helpful. It's so helpful. Oh, by the way, do you know what teams are shooting in the restricted area against Chet Holmgren this season?
It's low 50s.
It's 52.1%.
I remember it was low 50.
52.1%, Michele. Which, like, let's try to contextualize this just a little bit for everybody. 52.1%. Let me find somebody that's good, because all these guys that are at the top, Vooch, Towns, Jokic, these aren't
I'm trying to find
guys.
Gobert.
Rudy Gobert, 59.7, which is, by the way, very good. Victor Wembanyama, 64.3%, by the way. Again, Chet was 52% at the rim. Alperen Şengün, who's people just promised me he's gotten better on defense. Teams are shooting 70% in the restricted area against him this season. Let me find Bam Adebayo. Let's see, where is Miami? There's Khalil Ware at 69%, not so hot, even though I think that he's had a pretty nice season. He's not listed as a forward, Bam, is he?
Yeah,
he must be. I've got centers pulled up.
What about Cleveland? Jared,
the Cleveland guys?
And even
let's find the Cleveland guys. Let's find the guys that are being dubbed the depoys right now. And this is why I just firmly believe that Chet would have won it. Like I just believe like the stats are there, the play is there. Jaren Jackson Jr., who is believed to be the favorite for depoy, 65.4%.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not really close. Jared Allen, 65%. That's what teams are shooting. Teams are shooting 52% on Chet. And it's a smaller sample. I get it. He's not played as many games, but teams are not scoring when Chet is in the lineup. Teams are not scoring at the rim. I mean, Naz Reid actually has a great number, 59% for Naz Reid. What would you say? Sorry.
No, I mean, and that's only capturing the shots that people actually take.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
Just see the rim frequency when Chet is out there. It's just, I mean, is avoiding people to get to the rim because people will avoid him. And, so there is an interesting read in the chat saying that this team is frustrating and it's it's an issue that they are getting these 20-2 runs and stuff like that. Sure, that is a bad thing to have. Now, every single team in the league will get one of these sometimes. I mean, Cleveland, do you like Cleveland? Well, they got steamrolled 20-0 from the Thunder on OKC's court. Boston got plummeted multiple times over this season when they were healthy and when they were not. This is the NBA, guys. Relax. I mean, this team is awesome by any number. So yeah, you will get, if you analyze deeply every single team that played the game, you will see that every team had its own weaknesses. I mean, the 72 or 73-9 Warriors, they didn't win the title. So it can happen that a dominant team has some issue, maybe health related, maybe schematically, maybe whatever. But this doesn't mean that this team is not great or that this team is doing something that is really never been done, or been done just a couple of times in the history of the league. In the history of the league, not in the past 10 years.
With comments like that, sometimes I just want to say, like, just go watch some other teams. Like, just go take some time and go watch some other teams. Because
think about Philly. They were so excited. They had their team. Look at them. Just not about like the results. Just forget about the results. Watch them play basketball. It's not the same sport.
Or even teams that people think that are good, though. Like, go watch the Nuggets. Like, go watch the Nuggets play. The Nuggets have lost double the amount of games the Thunder have. Double.
Yeah.
You can be frustrated about that, but like, listen, the NBA is so difficult. The NBA is outrageously difficult to compete in. And you are going to have moments where you don't look great because the competition is so high. And so you need to have these moments where you're socked in the mouth. And the way that Mark says it is that we taste our own blood. And what do you do when you taste your own blood? It's like you fight back. And they did. And like those moments, as much as you may not like them, as much as it may be uncomfortable for you to watch it on television, but like those are like good moments. Like you don't want to rob this team of those moments during the regular season, because if they don't have those moments where someone just absolutely punches them in the mouth and they can't get back on track for 5, 6, 7 minutes, if they don't have those minutes now, it will happen in the playoffs. The playoffs are a different animal. The playoffs are difficult. It happened to them last year against Dallas, where the Thunder they got socked in the mouth and they could not get back up. It happened to them, and they need to experience it. They have to experience it during the regular season in order to have playoff success, because you don't get better unless you have those reps. You have to have these reps where things go wrong. You have to. I mean, it's that way with anything that you're doing, any profession that you're in. Like, you need to experience the things that go wrong so that you know to correct it and you know how to plan for it better the next time. Like no one goes through anything with it just being amazing all the time. And honestly, this team has experienced that with things just being amazing all the time more than any other team in the league this season.
Yeah.
Like that. Like, and so again, my challenge would be, like, if you feel that way, like, go watch some other teams. Like, go watch League Pass for a week and then come back and then tell me, like, oh, okay, yeah, this Thunder team is different. Like, they just are. They just are. Listen to the NBA Daily. Talk to those people on our Discord, because like this team is different. They are the elite of the elite. And like to think that like a bad thing should never happen to this team, it's like, no, like these are the best 400 players in the world, save for maybe 10 guys. Like, these are the best 400 players in the world at this one particular thing. Yeah. Like, there are very few arenas in the world outside of pro sports where you get all these guys doing it. It's hard. It is hard. Like, it is so challenging.
I want to get into some very nerdy and specific thing. That's
what the Monday Pod's for.
Yeah, that may make you feel just weird, not better or worse. Just like, why are you getting into this very specific thing? Okay, one of the worst losses of the season against Cleveland, where they played well and they were beaten by Cleveland because they played well. They played better. And part of the scheme there, the schematic thing there was, hey, they played zone in the fourth quarter, and OKC multiple times they stalled with the ball in their hands.
Mm-hmm.
They pump fake twice before taking a quick three. Tonight, like the T-Wolves tried to play a little bit of zone. You know what happened when the ball hit J-Dub fingertips? Yes, you do know, because if you're watching on YouTube, you already saw it. No hesitation. Semi-contested three-point shot off the catch. That is something that early in the season was not happening against the zone. And now, since this team is working their tail off to improve on anything single team that is exposed, it's there. It's incorporated on February the 24th. Not in April, not half through the playoffs where we say, oh, how do we counter this? No, they saw something against the zone and they improved it. They improved it quickly and decisively. This is exactly what is needed. And this is why, as Andrew mentioned, these things are extremely important. They will look back at how they got this 20-2 run. It may be late rotations. It may be a little bit too happy doubling or not so quick switching. That it may be many things, probably a little bit of every one of the things that I mentioned and more, because I didn't rewatch the films. But if it happens, great. If you make mistakes that are loud and clear, great. You have something to analyze.
Yeah. I promise you that the tape that this team will go to much more is the losses and the 22-2 runs and all of that. Those are the moments that they'll go back to more than anything. It's like, okay, how do we get better? Because I mean, they talk about it all the time. I mean, they have a culture of just like wanting to improve, and I think they all individually have that. And of course, they want that. The better you are, the more money you make. Like that's how the NBA works. And they have this culture of just wanting to improve, and they're going to use that 22-2 run. And I promise you, they're watching it today, and they're like, okay, how do we make this not happen tonight? It's kind of it's a cool opportunity that they're going to get. I think 2 more times over the course of this season where they have that back-to-back against Denver, which I hope that's my first game back. That's like just like I'm really praying for that. And then they play the Lakers back-to-back. I don't know if it's back-to-back days, but they play them twice, like right away. Yeah. Like it's unique, and you almost want there to be something like that. That's just like this, like glaring, just flashing light of this was really bad. How do we not do this again? For that to happen in game 1, and then for them to be able to see what they can do in game 2 to correct it. I think it's very important. And a lot of it, and to me, a lot of like the problems the Thunder are having is when Shea's off the court, and a lot of it goes to Dub.
Yeah.
Like Dub is not a static being. Okay. Yeah. Like he is growing, changing. He is going to get better. Like he has the basketball DNA of a guy that's going to get better and that can figure out what's going on here and how to actually become a creator here. I do think he could benefit from having AJ Mitchell with him in the lineup. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I think that that's a thing. But I think that we also have to recognize that like J-Dub may have to go through prolonged like times of just it not going well without Shea. And I think that's okay. I think it's okay to let that happen and for that to just kind of sit and for there have to be some problem solving on the part of J-Dub to figure out what is it that I can do during these times where Shea is sitting to where I can be a more effective player. I think it's good. I think it's good to have that struggle. I think it's good for him to try to figure it out. I would just be floored if we're sitting here 3 years from now saying the same thing about J-Dub that, like, you know what? He still just hasn't figured it out. Like, he's still not any good when Shai's not on the court. Like, I just would be so shocked if that's the case. Is it crazy for a guy that is only 3 years into his career to have to still figure stuff out? Absolutely not. I mean, look at Cade Cunningham. It took him 4 years to like actually become the guy that people thought he was supposed to be. You know, like J-Dub deserves to have the time, and he deserves to be a guy that like can struggle and can figure it out eventually too. So just something that I've been thinking about too. So
should struggle because he is, again, as you mentioned, not static. He is improving. He's in year 3 and dunk to dunk for the 3rd time. So it's not the 7th season. It's the 3rd time.
Eventually he will say, I'm down to dunk for the 7th time. Thank you.
Yeah.
He'll say that.
And there we'll see.
Okay, enjoy the Timberwolves game tonight. If you're watching on YouTube, I want you to spam the comments with your favorite role player and why. Is it Caruso? Is it Hartenstein? I think Hartenstein has been probably my favorite role player this season. He's one of my favorite players to watch. In fact, I should have worn this today, but the iHeart shirts are still available. You can find those on the Down to Dunk Twitter account. I'll try to put it in the description of the podcast as well. It's a great shirt. My son wears it literally all the time. Like, he was wearing it to bed last night in hopes for a Thunder win before he went to sleep. It's a great shirt. It's very fun. We've sold a bunch of them. Would love to see more of those at the games and to support Isaiah Hartenstein in his first season with the Thunder. So I hope you guys are doing great. I really appreciate you guys listening and tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys again on Wednesday.